Llefarydd UKIP.
UKIP spokesperson Gareth Bennett.
Minister, recently Wales Online published a news story highlighting the difficulty many patients are having in finding an NHS dentist to register with. The news reporter had herself moved to Carmarthen from Kent, and suffering a dental problem suddenly, she found that the closest dentist willing to offer an appointment was in Llanelli, which meant a 50-mile round trip. Of course, this problem isn't confined to West Wales. I checked the NHS Wales website this morning and found only 3 dentists in Cardiff offering NHS appointments. To be fair, that's a little better than last time I looked in January, when there were none. There are no dentists in Newport currently accepting NHS patients, and if you live in Brecon and Radnor, you can expect a long drive, as there are only 2 practices in the whole area with appointments available. What steps can be taken to address this problem?
I've actually been very encouraged by the response of the dentistry world to Healthier Wales and wanting to see that as a kickstart to the reform that they wish and need to take to make sure they're delivering the sort of service that they want to provide and each of our communities expects as well. There are challenges around the country about our capacity to take on extra NHS patients, but actually that really is tied up with contractual reform. So, since she came into post, the Chief Dental Officer has undertaken a much faster rate of reform within the contract here than prior to her arrival. I've encouraged her and empowered her to do so. And actually, when you see the next statement on where we are with dentistry, I think members will have a degree of optimism about the future. I'm expecting to announce more in the autumn, depending on the evidence we've had. We now have an increased number of dental practices taking part in the contract reform programme. Far from being reluctant to do so, as a number of practices were, we're now having real enthusiasm from different people who want to change the way that they work, because actually it allows them to have greater capacity to do the right things. And this really is about providing the right care at the right time, rather than providing treatments that aren't evidence-based on a contract that rewards the wrong sort of behaviour. So if the member will bear with me for a short period of time longer, I'll be able to make a statement to him and other members about where we are and our expectations for the future.
Well, thank you for that anticipatory report of the contractual overhaul. And it's encouraging that you are looking at this, and I look forward to the statement in the autumn. Now, of course, I can't really preempt what that statement is going to say, but if I could flag up a few issues relating to the contracts. The BDA say that the recruitment and retention of dentists in Wales has been a problem for some time, and of course the contracts currently in place are part of the problem. They have called on the Welsh Government in the past to devise a system which makes Wales a more attractive place for dentists to work. Now, some of the problems are relating to the tough UDA targets, which are currently called for. That's, as you know, the units of dental activity. And we do have this system of clawback as well, whereby if they underperform by over 5%, there is this clawback of money. So these are all issues which feed into this rather unwieldy contractual system which you've identified. So I know you say there is an overhaul, and we are going to have a statement in the autumn. I don't know if you can make any comment at the moment on some of the issues that I've raised. Yeah,
the British Dental Association are key stakeholders. I meet them during each year. They have access to meet the Chief Dental Officer and her officers within her department. And you're right that the UDA element of the contract is an essential part of reform. And we're actually seeing practices undertake the contract reform opportunities. It's changing the way they deliver their work, and that in itself is making Wales a more attractive place for dentists to work, but also the skill mix of people, to the degree of dentists, assistants and others who will work within each of those practices. So that is absolutely part of delivering better care, a better place for people to work, and actually better value for the public money we invest in the system.
Encouraging. Now, if I can go back to the UDA issue, obviously this is all going to hopefully come out in the autumn statement. But one issue with the clawback is the money that is taken back from the dental practices is not ring-fenced, and so is not necessarily going to be reinvested in the Welsh Dental Service. Now, as we know from matters that are continuously debated in this chamber, the National Health Service in Wales is short of money in many areas. So the problem is that much of this money that's clawed back is used to plug funding gaps in other areas of the Welsh NHS system. So we do have this rather perverse situation at the moment, which the BDA have identified, when there are large waiting lists and patients having to travel many miles for checkups, but at the same time, money is being taken out of the dentistry system and put into other areas of the NHS. So hopefully that will form part of your thinking with this overhaul of the contracts.
Yes, I'm very clear that way in which money that is allocated and earmarked for dental services should be used, and it should not be used to fill gaps in other budget lines, when actually we recognise there is more for us to do for the quality of care and service that, as I say, each community in Wales deserves